This is You'll Be Mine, a Megan York Suspense Thriller, Book 3, written by Ava Strong, read by Teresa. Prologue. After emerging from unconsciousness minutes ago, Melanie had been valiantly fending off the onset of total panic. Pain and confusion had greeted her first, as she had registered the disorienting, unexpected brightness that shrouded everything, and had begun to strain her eyes even before she had even opened them. And that pain and confusion never fully faded, even as she realized next that she was outside, alone, and without any memory as to how she had gotten there. On an island, she slowly began to understand, the edge of a cove of a small island, on which she couldn't remember ever before having set foot. But her panic first truly began to rise when she had acted on her first instinct, to stand. The impulse had come to her suddenly, as she slowly regained more of her senses, and so she had tried to stand quickly, only to be painfully jerked back down equally as suddenly. It was only then that she realized her arms were tightly bound with a thick metal chain to the formidable trunk of a tree right behind her, and that fresh panic spiked in intensity when she had then tried to cry out for help, only for a little more than a muffled groan to make its way out of her mouth in its place. Wraps of duct tape held her mouth shut tight, she found, and neither the desperate shaking of her head nor the straining of her jaw worked to dislodge them. Turning around as best she couldn't see anyone in the small island's forest behind her, and only the faintly shimmering surface of a lake stretched out ahead in front of her. There was no trace at all of another human being, aside from her gag and the chain. No footsteps in the coarse sand a few feet in front of her. No boat ran aground, explaining how she might have been brought ashore. No food, no water, only confusion and her rapidly mounting fear. But even after all that had dawned on her, and after nearly succumbing to hyperventilation, Melanie barely managed to cling on to a final few slivers of hope. It might have been more like bargaining, the stages of grief and all that. But either way, she was just able to keep her head above water, holding on desperately close to what little she seemed to have going for her. She didn't remember how she had gotten there, and all of her most recent memories beyond that were hazy and confused. Maybe, she tried to tell herself, maybe that was a good thing. Maybe she had been the first to pass out at some crazy party, and she was just the victim of an elaborate practical joke. When the sickening implausibility of that became clearer, she quickly tried to console herself with some other idea. She tried to shift focus to some method of escape. As long as she was still thinking clearly, maybe she had a chance. As carefully as she could manage, she tried to test the constriction of her binding, seeing if there was any sort of give in the knot of the heavy chain which she might be able to work looser. But when that effort went nowhere...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?